Hello everybody, welcome to episode 15 of the Cult of Dangerous ASMR podcast. I am Steven, and my co-host Boggle actually isn't here right now. I'm just recording this intro for the podcast we did with Dangerous. Yeah, that's right, after 15 long episodes, we finally got Dangerous to come on the show, and it was amazing. She actually did this for my birthday. And, just major props to Dangerous, because of course we would not be doing this without her, and of course I wouldn't be making my own audios without her. I never would have gotten the bravery without her, so I'm really glad that I was able to finally just, sit down and talk to her with this podcast. She's done a lot for me these past couple of weeks, whether it was voicing in my little audio drama that I had, or just making my script into a reality, and listening to that was great. That is the Half-Orc Love Confession. If you guys haven't listened to it, it's amazing. Please listen to my script. So yeah, like I said, for my birthday, she was okay with doing this. Even though my birthday was last week and we recorded this last week, I'm uploading it for you guys this week. Unfortunately, me and Boggle weren't able to get together and record reviews for the two most recent audios that came out. That's another vampire one written by FN, who has slowly becoming one of my favorite writers in the Dangerverse, and mine and Boggle's friend AJ. He had a new addition to his superhero series, and they're both very good audios. I will post the links to them in the description box. And next week, me and Boggle are going to do a much smaller series, so we'll be able to fit in the 4 reviews we need to put in. That's this week's reviews and next week's reviews. So please come by next week to listen to those as well. Just one thing I'd like to point out, and no one's going to notice until I put this out, but this podcast and the last 2 podcasts I had recorded without realizing that my mic wasn't on, and my computer mic was the one picking up my audio. And I recorded all 3 without ever noticing that I did that, and I'm super pissed. I finally got one of my idols to come on this podcast, and my audio sounds like shit, so I very much apologize by that. Anyways, you guys are sick of hearing my voice. Let's just get on to the podcast of Dangerous.
Go tell Aunt Rhodey. Go tell Aunt Rhodey. Go tell Aunt Rhodey that everybody's
Now I need to stop being nervous if we could start.
Yeah, stop being nervous because I'm judging you. I'm judging you right now. Don't be nervous. Do it. Don't be nervous now. Now, stop. You better stop right now.
To kill you if you don't stop.
Is it working? Better be working.
All right, everyone, here we go. No, it's a terrible intro. I should have wrote this down.
Steven, maybe we should just skip to the interview and then do the introduction later when you're not certain.
Honestly, you could just when I get nervous every time. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, when I'm jumping into Drunk and Dangerous and I'm starting it for whatever reason, maybe it could be because I'm high as fuck, but I always fuck it up. And I'm usually, when I think about it the most is when I fuck it up the hardest, because if I don't think about it, it will just come out of my mouth. But if I think to myself, wait, how do I start these again? I'll always fuck it up and I'll say something stupid. And it's typical. I think it happens kind of all the time. You go, wait, how do you introduce this again? What the fuck? Feels like I've never done this before.
All right. We're just gonna go ahead and jump into it then. So hello, DA. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Boggle, are you good?
Yep.
All right, that's good. We're all good right now.
Sounds like we're all doing fabulously.
Yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks.
Has it? It sounds like the way that you burst into laughter makes me feel like you're covering up. Have you murdered somebody? Is that what the nervous laughter? Definitely a sign of a killer. If I've watched a lot of true crime because I have nothing better to do with my time than it's research, right? That's my excuse now. It's research. That's why my channel and all the my serial killer series, which I haven't written in a few months or so, I always feel like when I have left off a piece of series and people are like, oh, when are we gonna get the next XYZ? In my head, I'm always like, oh, it came out like 3 weeks ago. And I look back and I'm like, it was 6 months. What the hell? Time will really fly to the point where I won't even know it's been months. It doesn't feel like it in my head because the story just kind of left off and it just paused. And then I get so focused on everything else, I don't even think, oh yeah, it's been like a friggin' year and I was supposed to finish this series. Like, great, it's fantastic.
It's like, for the love of God, can we please have Alpha the Tsundere Werewolf season 2? And you're just like,
yes.
And we got to get the crossover
I just-
ending before we jump into any season 2. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I know, and this year has just been a series of a lot of crazy
2020's
shit.
been a lot of real deadbeats on fire, so that you kind of have an excuse.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's like, and personal shit in my life too has been kind of insane, and so it's like everything kind of culminating in this big clusterfuck of a year, and so it's been interesting. It was if you had asked me last year if this is what this, I would have been like, no way. This would not have been my guess. So some good things, some bad things, all stressful fucking things. So how about you guys? How have your years been? I swear I can talk. Maybe.
My year hasn't been too great. I've been kind of slowly going insane. Literally these
Slowly?
past slowly, yes. Literally these past 2 weeks have been like the better part of my year, just because I got to work with you on some stuff, and then you did my audio, and I loved it.
So glad you did. And you have to lie because it's being recorded, so.
So we're never going to be slandering Dangerous while she's here, but as soon as you leave,
Yeah.
like, oh God.
Behind
That's
my
when the
back.
gossip will start.
It's funny is going back to like what you're saying about how like, oh my God, I have my own fucking series to do. It's like why I'm like very hesitant to be like, hey, can I make like another like half work audio? Because I don't want to give you just another fucking series you have to do, because then you have like 80 series right now.
No, see, it doesn't bother me though, because I always like having other parts of series, at least even if I'm not using it right away, like that month. It's always nice to have it so I can plan forward because, people want next parts of series. And while I'm working on all this stuff on Patreon and making these audios, a lot of times I don't have as much time to write the series as I want to. I do kind of miss that because when I get a chance to actually sit down and write a continuation of a series I've done, like it's always so nice, and I don't get as much of a chance to do it anymore. But I really want to. I have endings for most of the series already in my head. I just have to actually write it out and do it, which has been problematic.
Of a writer.
Yeah.
I think we even joked about that in one of our past podcast episodes, that up until the Giantess Sisters audios were done, you technically had no complete series on your channel. Because even the ones that were complete, then like I think the only one that was complete was like the Love Crazy Yandere, but then that one sort of started to get a season 2. So it's like that one's a bit
got
debatable,
2
but,
season
like, every
2s.
other series either still ongoing or just kind of like disappeared. So we're like,
well,
no, this Giantess thing is the first series to be completed on this channel, guys. And then he dropped an epilogue, and it was like, dang it. I don't think I can trust this anymore. There are no longer any completed series on this, because that doesn't include like one-shot audios that were intentionally gonna stay as standalones.
The Yandere Fox Goddess is technically done, according to the author. That part was the last part. It just wasn't a very long series. And my problem is I'm always so hesitant to end a series. It's hard for me because I like a character, and it's like I know where I want these
back for like meta stuff, like parodies and crossovers.
Right, and like I know where I want it to end, but it's hard for me to do it because part of me is like, but I like them so much. So if I don't end it, like I can just leave it open-ended, which is stupid too. I need to end them.
I like the satisfaction of a completed series, so that's always been my take on it. But I understand yours as well.
Well, I do have a direction for a couple of season 2s that I want to do if I ever get off my fucking ass and finally write that last crossover.
Another joke we made just actually last night with Game. We were like, listen, none of us knows what DA's schedule is. She probably doesn't even know what her schedule is.
Yeah, honestly, like my schedule, I'll write it out for the month, but it is constantly changing. Based on a whole fucking number of things. A lot of which will be like whether editing something took way fucking longer than I anticipated. That's a lot of the variety in like how long an audio will take, because sometimes, most of the time, I don't underestimate the amount of time I'll need. I'm sorry, I don't
How long
overestimate
does
the
it
amount of time
usually
I'll
take?
need. I underestimate. Oh God, it really varies. I'd say average out to 4 or 5 hours will be on average. But there are some that
Is that with or without ones that have massive amounts of SFX in it?
oh no, that's without ones with massive amounts. If you have massive amounts of SFX, it's probably gonna take me like 8 hours.
Ooh.
Possibly longer. There have been ones that have taken longer. But after a while, I don't really count. I just know it takes me all fucking day into the night to edit.
Ooh. So what's the longest audio you've ever edited, if you can kind of gauge? Because I know you don't have exact times, but
it would have to be the siren audio that I did. And I did that one to myself. And that one was just, it was a project. That shit was fucking project.
So I think that's why that one stayed as a standalone. You're like, we're not doing this again.
Well, and I didn't have a lot of requests for a part 2, which I was like, thank fucking God, because it was such a project to do.
Now we should tell everyone to spam you with, hey, can we get a siren part 2?
No, because I'd know they were all full of shit.
Yeah,
if they did, because I'm like, yeah, right. Y'all suddenly want it.
Yeah.
Right after this, like, yeah, now you're all full of shit. I could tell. I would know. I wouldn't trust it. And honestly, it's my choice whether or not. And I'm like, hell no, not unless there was a legitimate request for it. But it was a lot more work than I thought. I really underestimated the amount of time it was going to take. It took so fucking long. Oh my God, it took days. I was so happy when it was done, and I was so fucking pissed it taken so long. I was like, never again.
Now that you're like more experienced, though, do you think it would be easier for you, or do you think it would still be like a fucking bitch to make?
I think it'd be easier now, yeah. I mean, it'd still be a bitch. Just, I think I wouldn't make it so hard on myself. I think I would plan it better. But it would still be a bitch. Be easier, but it would still be hard. Bitch. Yeah, basically. Like, it'd be faster, but it'd still be a fucking bitch. There are just some projects where even if you're editing quickly and you're editing proficiently, it is still going to take you forever because there's just a ton of sound effects and you can't move that quickly because you have to listen and re-listen over and over. And that in and of itself takes time. So I can place a sound effect down, but I can't just be like, okay, drag and drop, that sound effect's done, and then just go on, because you need to hear, the pitch, how loud it is. And, do you have to fade it in and out? Do you need certain parts to be louder? Do you need to move it a little, like millisecond here or there, and how it makes a difference? It's all that kind of shit people don't really think about, that I didn't think about when I got into this and I started editing, because I didn't know anything about sound editing. And I didn't think it could take that long. And then I started doing it. I'm like, nope, I was wrong. This is a lot of little tiny detail work that goes into making an audio sound cohesive and sounding like all the sound is coming from like the same place, and it's all the proper volume, and it's all the proper distance. And some audios aren't that difficult to do it if you're just doing a basic bare bones one. But when you're trying to basically create an entire soundscape for a reality that doesn't exist and creatures that don't exist, that's when it's a lot more Foley work and it's a lot more intensive, like the editing. But then there are some that are just like, I get a lot of requests for like cuddling audios and girlfriend role plays, and those are not as interesting to me as like acting wise, because I'm a normal human being. I know, weird, but still pretty normal, and I like cuddling and vanilla bullshit too. And so I'm like, yeah, the vanilla girlfriend is like me as a fucking girl. Like, I just write what's the kind of shit I would say to my significant other. I'd say that shit right there, So for me, it's the easiest thing in the world. It's like just reassuring a pretend significant other. That's easy. And when it's easy on the editing side too. But when it comes to a lot of the stuff that interests me the most, it actually also happens to be way more editing intensive. And so it's kind of like, so you can choose, you make vanilla stuff that's easy to edit, or you can make the stuff I really want to. And it just is usually a lot harder to edit because I really just love horror and fantasy and sci-fi and all those kind of genres, and being able to kind of make like a drama almost is like my favorite thing. I don't know. It's just me, but I love it. It's so fun.
I think that's like what really drawed me to you was I wasn't like super familiar with like this kind of subgenre of entertainment. I was just really looking for. I feel weird saying this. I was looking for like
Porn.
not.
It's
I
on
actually
YouTube. You're
was
not
not. I actually was not looking for porn.
Guys.
If I was, I would admit it. I mean, that's why I went on your Patreon. I was like, oh, cool. There's episodes of Jekyll and Hyde that have sex in them. Let me listen to
Porn.
those. But I actually did start watching you because of Jekyll and Hyde. I was just looking for like basically transformation stuff, and so I wouldn't even listen to the dialogue beforehand. I would just like, okay, where's I don't care about this Angela girl. Let me just skip to the damn transformations. But I think just one day I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? This girl has a really good voice. Let me actually listen to these. And then the Lamia one came, your first ever Lamia one, which is apparently your most popular video of all time. Which I find
Yeah.
it funny that it's that one specific one.
It doesn't surprise me. Lamias are very popular, and people are perverts. I mean, why do you think I started my channel? I'm a huge pervert.
Did you start your channel knowing that you're just like, let me get all my perverted fantasies out, or that just
I
kind of
for
come
sure
later?
knew that I was definitely going to do erotic eventually, because erotic audios, I'd already listened to them myself for quite a while. I really enjoyed them. And I really already knew that I enjoyed the power of voice. And I knew that I could sound like the people on the 1-800-sex phone ads in the middle of the night, like fucking Comedy Central. I knew I could sound like, call 1-800-GIRL now. Girls are live and waiting to talk to you. You know, like that bullshit fucking, yeah, baby. Call now. Like all that. And I'm like, that's not hard. Like that's sexy voice. You can't do sexy voice. But then I was like, hey, I can do sexy voice. And listening to erotic role plays, you know, if they're done really well, they can be really hot. And I was like, I want to fucking do this shit too. It's so fun. Oh my God, it's so fun. It's so fun. I really enjoy it. And people will ask me, like, you know, does your family know what you do? Do your friends know what you do? And I'm like, hell yeah. Because, you know, I know for a fact that like my grandmother doesn't approve of erotic stuff. But I'm sorry. I love her very much, but I'm going to keep doing what I do because I fucking love it. You know? Like, I'm just at the point where it's like, I'm not a child. I enjoy doing the hell out of this. I don't think it's shameful, so I cannot be shamed for it because it doesn't shame me. I love it. I think it's fantastic and it's so fun. And the people that I think judge it don't understand it, you know? Because if you've listened to it, I don't understand how people couldn't enjoy it. Because when I found role plays, I was like immediately enamored. I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. But I'm also a huge nerd, so I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best judge. I'm incredibly biased.
Biased, yeah.
Yeah, I have my own channel. Don't listen to me.
As an ASMR artist who
I
does
take
this
it back.
content,
Don't
I'm
listen to
biased,
me. I'm a biased. If you want an incredibly biased opinion,
Ask the
role plays are
YouTube ASMR artist
fantastic.
herself.
Yeah, just use your imagination. It's like a first-person audiobook. It's so fucking cool. And especially like when I was listening to them, I found a lot of people didn't do sound effects, but when people did and they did them well, they were so fun. They really, really helped add to that feeling that you were really in the story. And I wanted to make stuff that made people feel like that, you know, where you were drawn in and you felt like you were in the story, because those were the ones I always enjoyed the most, you know? Like I realized they were technically more work, but they're more fun. So it's worth the extra effort, you know?
I agree with that. Listening to ones that have just like that extra little bit of like, you know, like whether it just be sound effects or like just specific types of editing, it really does like make them shine more than just like normal audio role plays where it's just a person kind of talking to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what I started with. And then I tried editing on my phone, and that was just hell. And then I started editing on computers, and I was like, oh God, thank God I don't have to use my fingers
Slightly
anymore to
better.
do this.
I
Like,
can't
I
even
get,
imagine. Sorry.
you know, I get not having like the expertise or the understanding of editing or the technical side of it, and just doing it out of passion, which is what I started doing. But I feel like if it's something that you're really, really passionate about and it's something that you want to keep doing, that like I don't understand why you wouldn't want to learn and to improve and to try to get better, because I think that's when it starts to get really fun, is when you start understanding how to kind of play with editing and make things sound more real and sound the way you want them to. And just the response that I've gotten from my audience, like every time, has been really nice and really positive. So it makes me want to keep going.
That being said, I'm actually curious, like, kind of to go back a little. I know this. You've said you like horror, but I'm curious, how far would you go with your characters if you knew for a fact you could have free reign and wouldn't ever get like negative response? Because that ties with you saying that as much as you enjoy the comforting stuff, you would prefer doing something that's more fantastical and out there. And similarly, yeah, you said you like the dark stuff. So I'm like, how far would you go if you could go to any length? How dark would you get? How extreme would you get?
I think my characters would be, the ones that were sadistic would probably be a lot more sadistic, and not because I find it, see, like, I know we'll get a negative response, because if I do a character that is treating the listener badly or is in otherwise an asshole villain, and you as the listener aren't immediately in a position of basically like power over them or have something against them, if you feel powerless against an asshole, a lot of people that have an issue with it don't see it as a story. Like, they get too attached to the idea of this is happening to me.
Too much immersion.
Yeah, because like I personally don't do stories generally where the listener is just tortured forever and it's always terrible, with the exception of the sadistic werewolf. But that's because that's what people want. They want to be tortured. I mean, I started that one as a custom because somebody wanted to be tortured horribly. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
People are really into it.
You'd go if
I mean,
it's
not my personal. There are some, like, since I'm doing that series now, like, I would probably, like, I made the last one pretty violent, like off-screen violent, but pretty violent.
Off-screen's a cop-out.
I would say I wouldn't be worried about killing animals because they're fictional. They're fictional people. That's what gets me. People get so, I'm like, it's fiction. I'm not actually killing animals. I wouldn't actually kill an animal. I love animals, okay? I have 2 cats that I love very much. They're adorable little rescue cats. I love them very much with all my heart, and they're fantastic, and I would totally go John Wick on anyone who hurt them. But
people don't care if you hurt them, but if you hurt animals,
swear to God, people, they would honestly, like, you'll get like death threats for killing some fictional animal. Yeah, exactly.
In
it's
live
like
D&D, you'll say that you're going to kill a bunch of animals next audio. That's when you wake up with negative 1,000.
No, because I'd have to actually do it. That's the thing. And then there'd be this whole other thing of I just killed a bunch of animals randomly, that I feel like that would be the bigger issue for me, rather than losing the patrons, would be the fact that I was a crazy animal killer.
I mean, again, your name is dangerous, so that's why I'm like, how far would you go if you were allowed to? Because I mean,
I'm just imagining like the cops breaking down your door. You're just crying, and they're like, "Why are you?" It's like, "Can you come with us? You're being arrested for animal abuse." And it's just like, "Yeah, but I lost 1,000 Patreon subscribers."
That's the worst. Who cares of the animals? What about the patrons?
I mean, honestly, though, like, I feel like as long as you're a pervert, you'll always find work. You know? It's true, right? Sex sells. Everyone's perverted. Yeah. And like, thankfully, I'm a pervert too. So for me, it's just, I'm naturally inclined to be perverted. And thankfully, there are people who will help support me in that perversion. And it makes me extremely happy.
Like, I don't need you, patrons. I'll make it back. Well, you wait and see. The next year, you're doing better than you were the year before. So I told you. I mean, that's out of all of it, though. You're like, no, if I could go darker, I would just kill animals. I'm like, that's it.
Well, I don't really see a need to go dark unless the story calls for it.
True.
And I don't want to turn the listener off. Like, if I write a series, I rarely am going to write a character that is just entirely cruel without any redeeming factors or any kind of motivation for doing it beyond cruelty. Like, except for the serial killer, who is obviously a total psychopath who enjoys the fuck out of killing, because of course she's still nuanced. She's not just I'm evil because evil, even though she is kind of that too. I I guess I'm too much of a soft touch. I like consensual non-consent, you know? So I don't necessarily want to like beat the ever-loving hell out of the listener. Some whipping here and there is fun. Bondage, you know, threats, but like I'm not a big fan of taking a leg, you know? Like I don't want to maim you. I feel like that's not going to win you any fans anyway. Like,
well, horror fans maybe.
if somebody kidnaps you and they're like, I want you to love me, and they either don't cut off your leg or cut off your leg, in which scenario do you think you're more likely to possibly fall in love with them? I feel like it's not the one where they took my fucking leg. I feel like I can't look past that. I can't look past my missing leg to like fall in love with you, kidnapper. I'd be too resentful. I'd be like, give me my leg back.
I think resentful is an understatement. Give me that leg back. Sew it back on, then we'll talk.
Like, you don't get to take my leg. That's so rude. I was using this, thank you. Now I'm unbalanced and I have extra shoes. I don't know what to do with them.
I hope I get a cool prosthetic out of this.
Right?
Yeah, I really feel like Annie Wilkes may have messed up her chances when she broke his feet. I feel like she was doing okay before then, but as soon as she like took out that little block to break his feet, she lost like any chance she had.
I mean, I don't feel like she ever had a chance though, because she was a crazy person who abducted him. I think maybe if she hadn't abducted him, it would have turned out
Step
okay.
one, don't abduct him.
Yeah. I mean, step one is don't be Annie Wilkes. And be batshit fucking crazy.
Don't be a Yandere.
Well, honestly though, like, I can tell I've never been obsessed with somebody because I have never had the patience for anyone in my life to tend on them hand and foot in bed as they recuperate. I couldn't do that. I give up halfway through. I'm like, never mind. I'm hiring a nurse. This is too much work.
Like, I have a lot of audios to make. I can't just kidnap you and just keep you here all day. You have to be self-sufficient.
Stop asking for food all the time, you know? I'm back. Sorry. I was really thirsty.
See, I have to record these in my closet, and I have a really small closet. So I just bring in water whenever I can because I know I'm gonna like be drinking. Like I'm almost like halfway through my water right now.
Yeah, I hate that. Like when I'm recording and halfway through I'll start to get dry mouth and I'll be like, damn it, now I have to pause and get a drink.
Don't break character while you get the drink. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, because sometimes it is bad because you'll be like, oh, wait, because you'll position yourself slightly differently in front of the microphone. So it'll sound slightly different and no one else will hear it, but you'll hear it. You'll hear how it's different from before you left to get the drink and after, and it'll kind of bug the shit out of you. If you're me, it'll happen every time.
Okay, that's a question for you. How much do you do to get in character? Because I've heard some people like, you know, anything you want, and said that she'll actually like dress up to feel more in character. And I'm just kind of, and obviously you said mic positioning, especially if you're doing stuff that requires motion. It's like, what do you do to get into character?
I'm a terrible disappointment. I don't do anything. I'm a horrible
that makes it all the more impressive then.
I don't do anything to get into character.
That's like, impressive though. That's not a disappointment. That's the reverse. If you can just get into character without having to do anything, it's like, damn, that's cool.
It's just, yeah, I don't do anything to get into character. I just do it. This is the way I'm acting, then I act that way. Like, okay, the only prep I'll have to do if I'm doing a character that's in a series, I always listen back, sound what they fucking sound like, because there'll be like generic, you know, higher tone, mid-tone, lower tone, accent, whatever. But then there's nuance within it, and I can hear the difference in different characters, but like I have to listen back because I won't remember exactly how I did a voice. I can have like a generic idea. And so if I don't listen back to it, I'm not confident when I'm reading the lines because I'm not confident if I sound like the fucking character I'm supposed to sound like. So that's probably like the most prep work I'd say I usually do. Read through the script, maybe run the lines a couple times in my head out loud. And sometimes not at all. Sometimes I just won't run the lines at all, and I'll just do it once
Just
and be
go
like
straight
done.
in.
Yeah.
Have you ever been able to do a one and done where you literally recorded it and was like, "This is what's going up"?
No. Well, no, I don't think anything. I don't think I've ever done anything where I was like, this is exactly perfect. I always fuck up something. Even if it's just like the sound of a page turning as I'm like going through a script, there's always something I have to take out. It's never just if it was, you'd hear like the sound of my closet door closing or like me coughing.
Those damn airplanes.
Turning page, airplanes, putting down a glass of water, my sips of water. Like, it would just be bad. Nobody would enjoy it. You would have zero, unless it was Dangerous reads a script in her closet role play, then that'd be exactly what you want. But
that sounds like it could be a good Ike audio. Dangerous fails to do an ASMR in her closet.
So like a lot of the first takes, they'd just be Dangerous fails terribly.
I'd like to think there's been at least one scenario where you just accidentally left your script on the kitchen table and you just go out and you're reading it.
Like, what is this? And they immediately read like some really kinky title and they just walk away slowly.
It's like you're doing an audio about an octopus.
What is tentacle SFX? And you're just like, it's something from marine biology.
I'm careful where I leave the scripts. I only leave it like in my room or the office because, I don't think there's really a reason for those scripts to just be hanging around.
True, but I mean, if you
no
say
good
you
can come of that.
Sometimes it's the sense of like, oh shoot, maybe I did leave it somewhere other than normal.
I mean, it would be possible. That would make me, it would be funny, honestly.
If
people were reading my porn.
And your roommates no longer trust you, and they're like, "The heck is this?" And you're like, "Nothing."
No, because like if they knew that I knew my serial killers, they know I would never kill them. I'd be a suspect. Why would I do that? I'm not going to do a crime that I'm going to be suspected of. That's why you got to kill a stranger, This isn't the 1800s. I can't just kill a bunch of people now and get away with it because, like, they died of consumption. They're going to know.
Corona. Even though none of the symptoms line up, I promise you it's corona.
Yeah. And Joe Biden's America. No politics. I can't. It's just killing me, though. These ads, I swear to God, they're all so dramatic and it's hilarious.
They always look like movie trailers.
They're always like the person who's the enemy, whether it's Trump or Biden. It's like they're in black and white and they're like, but in Trump's America, but in Joe Biden's America. And then it's like, but with Joe Biden or but with Donald Trump. And and then you have the triumphant Americana music and like the flag waving in the background and like, blah, blah, America, bullshit lie will never accomplish, blah, blah.
It's funny that the nature of these ads haven't changed in like forever since the invention of TV. It's like always the same type of ad.
Yeah. But it is funny how dramatic that. Like I said, they look like movie trailers sometimes.
You know what it's like?
A spectacle.
I feel like the political ad is the equivalent of like an infomercial for a politician, right? Where it's like Joe Biden's going, whoa, and spilling something dramatically on the floor. And it's like, that's what it's like. Both versions are generally the infomercial version of what you're going to get. Where you're like, come on. Really, though? Really? Is your product really do that?
For comedy's sake. That's all they're good for.
I mean, and most people, don't most people already know who they're going to vote for or not vote for, or if they're going to vote at all? Yeah. I mean, the vast majority of people aren't swing voters. I think those people are just the trolls of America. They're just there to fuck shit up and mess with people, I mean, why do you think Florida is one of the swing states? Full of Florida men. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're taking their bath salts. They don't know if they're going to eat a face or vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden or what voting even is. I mean, and I
insulted any Floridian in your fan base. No, I'm just kidding. They probably know it's true.
But no, Florida can be absolutely beautiful and absolutely fucking terrible. I lived there for a period of time, and there were good things and there were very bad things. It's like, and there's a reason I don't live there anymore.
It's got rain and nice theme parks, but it also has meth and alligators.
Alligators.
Hurricanes. Oh, yeah. Hurricanes are just the general sense of unease around hurricane season is not fun. Yeah, and then dealing with hurricanes, like they just did recently on top of like Corona and everything else, like no fucking thank you.
Yeah.
Pass. Hard pass.
Thank God for
Not
living
interested.
inland.
Yeah. It's just that's one thing I'm not gonna miss. I don't miss it. Fucking sucked. But you know, there are good things. The beaches are actually really fucking beautiful. The tourists are kind of crappy, but you know.
But the beaches are nice.
Yeah, now if I ever go back, I'm the tourist. But I think that's the best way to be in Florida is a tourist.
So
You get all the good parts and not all the shitty parts. That's my experience of Florida. I'm sure there's other people that have better experiences. Like you grew up there and you know, a family and it's amazing, and I'm totally sure. But that's, you know, that wasn't my experience.
Kind of off topic, but were there any audios that you started to like make, but you either gave up because you're just like, this isn't that good of an idea, or it's just like, fuck it, it's way too hard, I don't want to continue this?
How dare you start talking about ASMR again in my rant about
In this
Florida? But okay. No, not that I can remember. There's been some that I have agreed to do, scripts for people that I've agreed to do, where I'm kind of mad at myself afterward because it's such a pain in the ass to edit. But I'm like, nope, you made a promise, so I kind of have to force myself. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad that I do it because it does make me better because I'm pushing the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with and what's enjoyable personally editing. And it's kind of like, you know, running a marathon when you've been running 10Ks or something. But it does help in the long run. But will I do it to myself? Generally, no. Even though I gave myself the worst audio, that was like not common. That was an outlier. Absolutely. Most of the audios I give myself aren't going to be an absolute shit show with sound effects. They're not going to be sound effect free, but they're not going to be like, here's, you know, 7 hours of editing work. Have fun, you know, because I'm not that much of a masochist.
Was there ever a time when you had like this very ambitious idea, but you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to do that much work, never mind?
I mean, I have some ambitious ideas now, but they're on the back burner because fuck it, I don't want to do that much work. It's not never mind, but it's maybe later.
Which
you
is
know.
basically never mind.
Well, it's when personal life and 2020 stuff cool down and I actually feel like I have room to breathe when it comes to free time. Then I can be like, hey, look at all this extra free time during daylight hours that I have.
I can finally
Maybe
get started
I'll
on
go.
projects I came up with back in January of this year.
Oh my God, when I thought it was going to be a normal year.
Yes, when we all still had hope. No, what I mean, like, I've done that too, where I'm like, hey, this would be a cool thing to do. Then fast forward a few months, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of never started that thing. And it's been multiple months. I wonder if I should get back to that.
Like,
so it's kind of like what you were saying with the series, that you don't realize how long it's been since you've updated it, and you're just like, oh yeah, that was last year, was. So you're like, oh yeah, that one project I came up with back at the very end of 2019, well, I'm now ready to start it as we sit here halfway through 2021. This idea on the back burner for like a year and a half, and you're like, let's do this.
I don't know, man. I kind of feel like 2020 hasn't really been a whole year for anybody. It's been forever, but it's also been nothing about life is normal right now.
Yeah.
For most of the time. So like the whole year has felt strange. It's September, but it doesn't feel like it. It kind of feels like weird void year where every day is kind of nothing.
Year.
Yeah, it's strange. Every day is like not waking up on the wrong side of the bed, but like waking up in someone else's bed. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? It's kind of how it feels all the time.
I kind of look at it like it's like when there's writer strikes and then there's just a season of like a television show. It's just kind of like ruined because of the writer strike. I feel like that's what happened in 2020.
Was there a writer strike where and like God was like, fuck this shit, I'm out?
Yeah,
and he was just like,
writing the series, and he left.
I'm taking the year 2020 off. Come back to me.
I think like God chose Hillary Clinton when he's like, I'll just give her the popular vote, and he just was not fucking paying attention, and he was like, God damn it, no, that wasn't what. You know what? Fuck this shit. Fuck it. And then he just threw up his hands, And then it's all led to 2020.
It's like I've made so many episodes of this series. I quit in 2020. Each left. Yeah, pretty much.
He just gave up. We all gave up.
Same.
I think that's one kind of thing that's in a nihilistic way kind of been nice about 2020 is just like give fewer shits because like life's so fucky and weird shit can happen anytime. And everything you thought was going to happen could just fucking, disappear.
I will
And
say that is like the one advantage, honestly, because we've had to all adjust to a new way of life. I'm a lot less scared of making mistakes because it's like, bitch, we're all making mistakes. Nobody knows what they're doing anymore, and there's something reassuring about that because there's no longer a sense of, oh, you're not doing it right or you're not doing it well enough, and the higher ups can see that. It's like, well, at this point, we're all on even ground. Nobody knows what's happening. Yes, oh my god, I'm not a total failure anymore, guys. At least no more than anyone else is.
It is kind of interesting, I think, how it's kind of changed like socializing and how staying in is like so much more normal for the weekends. Like your plans are usually, I'm going to stay inside. And a lot of times my desire is I want to stay inside because I want to wear like sweatpants
all day.
And I want to wear my Pornhub shirt that I got from wish.com. It's the best shirt ever.
Dare you to walk outside in public with that on.
I like how you would.
I like how you got it from wish.com.
I did. Okay, look. I don't buy anything from Wish, but they recommended me these men's Pornhub pajamas. And I was like, this is fucking sick. I want these so bad. But then I'm like, well, maybe it's just a ripoff of something that exists. But it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Pornhub doesn't license clothing. And so the only place I could get it was wish.com. And I did. And they came in and they're fucking beautiful. And I love them. And I will wear them until they fall apart in probably like 2 months because they're incredibly cheaply made.
And you have to buy more.
But I love them.
Here we go. I got the second outfit now, guys.
I love them so much. And it also made me think that Pornhub should actually brand clothes because they'd make a fucking mint.
They probably would. Do you wear that shirt when you write erotic scripts? You're like, here's how I'm going to get inspiration.
No. I don't usually get in the mood to write erotic scripts, but I will get in the mood while writing erotic scripts because I'm writing stuff that I think is hot.
Is that egotistical to be like, this is so sexy what I'm writing that I'm turning myself on?
But no, it makes sense, right? Because you want to write a scenario that you think is arousing, unless you're doing a custom that is just weird as hell. Because I've had somewhere I'm like, this is not sexy, but I'll read up on the fetish and make what I think will be sexy to you. It's just not my thing. But if I'm writing something I think is hot, it's just a natural byproduct, right? If you're not arousing yourself writing a sex scene, you're doing it wrong.
Like that's how you measure the success, is how turned on you are.
And the thing is, like, I'm a bisexual woman, right? So like I can be aroused in either scenario. So that's why I fucking know every single time, is this hot or is this not hot? Am I aroused by this scenario? Because if I'm writing this script and I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking hot, like I get turned on, then I'm like, all right, this is definitely going to be a good audio. Because I can tell every time. I'm like, if I'm turned on by the time I'm done writing the script, I'm like, yeah, I cannot wait to see. Yeah, when I impress because I have impressed myself. I'm like, you know what? That is hotter than I thought I was going to manage. Like, damn, that was good job. Like,
I can't wait to show everyone.
Like, I'm impressed. Wow, that was actually pretty sexy. Well done, me. And then I'm like, I do in like some weird perverted way. I'm just like, look, everybody, look at this amazing thing I did. And it's like porn. But it's like, hey, get off to this, you guys. Look how good it is. But it's like super fun. It's super, super fun.
Actually, how many of your own scripts do you honestly write? Because you kind of mentioned this earlier, but
for erotics,
just in general, how many of your scripts are yours anymore, and how many are just customs? Because it feels like every video released, whether it's erotic or not, is like always written by someone else. And I'm like, do you ever miss?
I love how that question is. I love how that question is worded. How many of your scripts are written by you?
Well, like the erotics
in the beginning, any of the scripts, because obviously, like in the beginning of your channel, all of them are yours.
Yeah, they're all mine.
As the months have gone by, like more and more, you'll see a byline that was written by someone else, and I'm like, so how many of your scripts, erotic or safe for work, are written by you, and how many are custom?
Really depends month by month, I'd say. I try to do a couple every month that are from series I've done. For the erotics, I write almost all of them. I've only ever done 3 scripts for erotics that weren't mine.
And then is that just the person's like, hey, can you make an erotic of that?
Well, and it's not that I'm not writing, but I'm writing customs. So like,
true, yeah.
Instead of writing, unlike Steven, who gave me the amazing script for his custom, most people don't. Most people want me to write them. Yeah, most people want me to write them. So now I'm, when I'm not doing scripts that other people have provided and then, recording and editing, then I'm writing other customs and recording and editing those. And so like a lot of the scripts I end up writing are erotic because I do a lot of erotic customs. And so it gets to the point where when I actually get the time to write a chapter of one of my own audios, I get super excited because I'm like, oh my God, it's not erotic. Like I can just write story. I can just write plot. Like it's not just sex. Like, ooh, I get to do something different. So a lot of my not continuing my series isn't lack of desire. It's lack of time.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time to write the continuations, even though I friggin' wish I did. But hopefully, as the year winds up and things get more settled and normal, I can start getting back to some of those because I really do miss it.
What's one that you're like really looking forward to getting back to?
The crossover, like so bad. I miss those characters so fucking bad. I have a great badass ending in mind, and I just need the fucking time to write it. And I have it slated for next month. If I fucking can, I would love to do it as like a Halloween thing. Fucking get that shit done, release it because I want it to be double length.
Oh my God.
Special feature, fucking big bang thing. So it's gonna be fun.
Because also, like, as much as I enjoy everyone else's script, I've had the same feeling where I'm like, to be honest, this selfish side of me is like, why can't we just listen to more of what Dangerous has written herself? Like, not customs, but like her own shit. I miss her stuff because again, like, obviously, when your channel was new, every script was written out of your mind and by your hand. But then, as the months progress, even if you're still writing everything, they're all requests. It's like, when are we going to hear something that she actually created herself and wasn't a request from somebody else? I kind of miss those days when it was all your stuff, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like suffering withdrawal from lack of updates for the stuff that you yourself created completely, like not by request.
I know, I miss it.
Since we're on the subject of your own writing, there's something I kind of wanted to compliment you on and kind of get a little bit more about. We re-listened to all of your crossover series, and I just noticed, like, other than obviously the Countess one, how involved the listener is in the action, and I feel like this is going to sound hypocritical of me because how much I love Jekyll and Hyde, but like I really like it when us, the listener, isn't just a piece of meat that's just things happen to them. I like it when we actually take like a proactive like stance in these audios.
Yeah, I have to say, like with the Yandere but really tsundere werewolf girl, she's probably my favorite character that I've made because I love her progression and she's so sweet. And I love the progression that the listener has also made. And I think that's probably my favorite series of the ones that I've done, honestly.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite. I fucking love her. If you ever like see my if you ever see my comments,
there's for sure a season 2. I already know it's gonna start. Like I really, really miss her. That's why I'm like chomping at the bit to get the time to write this crossover so I can finally finish it. So when people like they mention it and they remind me, and it's like, bitch, I fucking know. Trust
You're like, I miss it more than any of you because these are my characters.
It's like that's the one thing you don't need to remind me about. I know.
Yeah.
The only thing you remember with crystal clarity is the crossover.
Yeah, trust me, I know.
One of my favorite moments in the crossover too is just this kind of like headcanon thing in my head of just when the witch and the Yandere, the listener from the witch series and the listener from like the werewolf series like talk to each other, and I'm just like, I wonder what they're talking about.
Oh yeah, honestly, that's the thing. Is like your series is so interesting that sometimes I'm like, okay, but now I want to know about the listener character. Like I know it's supposed to be us, but I'm like, I can't help but like it's the thing I've noticed with me. But I can't really get immersed in audios in the sense that I feel like I'm there. I still feel like I'm a third-person perspective watching a movie, and I just create a character for the listener that's somebody else. I'm like, oh, wait, what are they're cousins? Oh, my God, I need to know what they look like. I need to know how old they are. I need to know how they grew up. Were they really close or not? And I'm just like, wait a minute, this character's supposed to be me. And over here like, should I ask about the lore for the freaking listener character now?
It's like, hey, Derek, I haven't seen you in forever. Also, I'm sorry about your cousin, man. Oh, it's cool. I know I found this new girl. She's pretty cool. She also taught me magic. That's awesome. That's how I imagine they talk, like frat boys.
It was just because, like, when that
Like
kind of
Chad,
quote unquote
Chad and
reveal
Derek.
was made during the crossover, I was like, oh my god, they're related. Like, now I'm just like, now I want to know what the backstory is for all the listener characters, even though those are supposed to be the audience. I'm like, no, but like, tell me about the listener character as a character, not as an audience member.
Well, you're gonna get more of that hopefully in the second seasons. Yes.
I'm really excited for it. Trying to contain my fanboyisms.
Oh yeah, I'm not really.
Did you intend for Alpha, the Sundari werewolf, to like kind of develop as a character like that, or is that kind of like a happy accident as you were writing the scripts?
No, I wanted her to develop like that. I just liked her. In the beginning, I didn't necessarily know where I wanted the story to go, but then I was kind of developing the plot. I liked her more and more, And I liked as I was developing like the listener's abilities and their strength that she would kind of come to this realization, but I didn't really want to force it,
Yeah.
So there were parts where it was like slower going and it was just kind of a lot of this character growth and her coming to the realization of like, oh, I actually just fucking kidnapped you and you're capable this whole time. Like, oh, fuck.
Took you long enough. Jeez. No,
and her realizing that like her logic was flawed this whole time and she actually did something wrong and feeling bad about that and being unselfish, even when it's really hard. Like, she's such a good fucking person. Damn, she's a better person than I am. For real, she's so sweet.
So if you kidnapped someone, you would be like, fuck it, I already did the crime. You're staying with me forever.
I mean, look, to be fair, I'm not a werewolf. I'm a regular person. And like, they'll tell you they're not going to go to the cops, but they're going to go to the cops. Like, don't. I'm just saying. That's why I don't kidnap people. Plus, it's morally wrong. There's other reasons. I'm not just saying that's the only reason.
Add that in as an afterthought. Like, on top of
Well,
the pragmatism, is you're like, oh,
that's
by
a
the way,
given. That's a given. Don't try to make it sound weird. Like I'm saying it because I have to cover up for my crimes. That was clearly Steven. We all heard him in his nervous laughter in the beginning. There are women in his crawl space. You can tell.
It's all your fault.
Go ahead and blame me. I don't care.
Yeah,
Go
when
ahead.
one day
I'll
you
take
find
it.
out that one of your audience members got arrested for murder, you'll be like, well, shit.
No. See, this is because those are the same people that are like, oh, you're clearly in favor of whatever negative thing this audio is about. Like,
Yes,
bitch.
oh my god, people are dumb.
That's like reading a horror novel with a bunch of killings, a la Stephen King, and being like, Stephen King is clearly pro-murder because he writes books about murder. Like, really? No, you can think something is an entertaining story without being like, and then I killed people because of course I did. Like, what? No, it's not okay. It's interesting to me. That doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean I think it's right. But normal people can see a work of fiction and go, that's fiction. It, just like if I watch a romance, I'm not suddenly like some romantic person. If that worked, any guy who watched a fucking romantic comedy would suddenly like sweep girls off their feet. Of course it doesn't. That's not how media works. People's brains aren't that plastic. Hopefully your brain isn't that plastic. Maybe the brains are just half melted and that's why they're just so malleable. Probably. But, I'm not that powerful that my audio can make somebody do jack shit. I'm not actually hypnotizing you to do anything. So don't be like, oh, it's not my fault I did XYZ because Dangerous is audio. You don't have that little fucking...
This will be the new version of, hey, do violent video games create violent people? Does Dangerous ASMR create
it's
dangerous
ridiculous.
people?
No, only the weirdos would search for my stuff anyway. And some of those weirdos happen to be crazy. I'm a weirdo too. We like some weird shit. And some of the people the very few people, but some of them who like the really weird shit aren't harmless weirdos. They're just crazy people. Does it mean that my stuff made them crazy? No. They were crazy to
long
begin with,
beforehand.
which
Yeah.
is why they liked my stuff. I rest your case, Your Honor. A sane person would not search out my audios. I rest your case.
So I guess
My
that means
case.
you
My
just
case.
declared all of us insane.
The case. Yeah, exactly. You're but that's a good thing. In today's society, you have to be to survive.
True.
But not so crazy. You take your mask off and start spitting on people. That's not good,
Oh
Karen.
my God.
Don't do that. That's the bad kind of crazy.
Well, that being said, like, I know you've kind of mentioned it before sometimes, so what do you think the weirdest audio you've ever written was? Like, you know, weirdest request? If you're allowed to share, because I don't know if that'd be considered, like, confidential, but just...
Cutting off body parts.
Dang.
I remember you talking about that. I was like, oh well, I'm aware of I don't know if it's a fetish, but like there's a psychological thing where like people feel like they need to like get their limbs cut off. So when you said
Okay.
that, I wasn't
Oh, yeah, I've
necessarily
heard of that.
surprised.
I cut off a man's hand and I fisted him with it.
Oh, okay.
That was probably the weirdest custom I wrote.
No lie, the biofascination of me honestly would want to hear that just to hear it. Like the sound effects used, just the concept is so out there. I'm like, the heck?
It was pretty intense.
How did that feel to record and then edit?
Well, you know, when people say I must be like mentally ill for doing shit like this, they don't get that. It's like it's acting. People don't get that. I am an actor. I can portray things that are horrible and completely unsexy to me and sound like I'm incredibly aroused. Is it because I'm aroused and I'm secretly pretending I'm not? No, it's because I'm an actress. And if I convince you that I'm into this crazy thing, it is not because I'm actually into it. It's because I am acting.
Well, that's why I just want to know then what it would feel like to, like, once you're done recording and then like have to listen through it to edit it and stuff. Like, how you feel going, dang,
Oh God,
this is the thing I did.
you know, sometimes I cringe. If I think I probably I know I think it's good because it shows I'm kind of self-aware, like at least a little bit, because I do know at least to cringe sometimes, and like I think that the key to acting convincingly when you're doing voice acting is to not be afraid to act like a normal cringy person, because sometimes our emotions are cringy as fuck and we sound dumb or we sound ridiculous, but it sounds convincing. And so you just kind of have to be willing to sound like a dumb, ridiculous person and let yourself cringe when you're editing back and go, oh God, no. And the
Especially
sex is
like you have to listen to it over and over again too. I feel like that would make it
the
even cringier.
worst. The erotic ones are the worst because you're listening to yourself moaning over and over. And like it's so bad, it's terrible.
So what are the biggest like positive and negative changes that have kind of happened in your life since your channel started?
I'll start with something negative because the positive are more fun to talk about. But negative is, you know, I always like to end with something positive anyway. Kind of like dessert, you know, like verbal dessert.
Verbal dessert.
Anyway, negative would be like lack of free time. Like, oh my fucking God, I'm so busy. That's for sure probably the most negative because I don't know about you, but being lazy can be really fun.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I kind of miss having weekends where I could just do what the fuck ever and not worry about like upload schedules or this, that, or the other and just sit on my fat lazy ass. And I can't do that because I'm so busy. So that I do kind of miss the free time. Probably.
So
the
how many
biggest
hours do you work a week?
downside.
How many days do you work?
I work 6 days a week. I don't keep track of the hours. Most hours I work. A lot of hours. Many hours. It's a labor of love, though. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't fucking love it so much. It
True.
doesn't mean it's not tiring. It doesn't mean it can't be stressful,
The
but...
6-day work week is so miserable to me, but that's also because I don't really like my job.
Well, yeah, and for me, it's still really, really fun. Like, if I wasn't having fun, then I would change my schedule because if it got too crazy, then I'd be like, hey, I need to, you know, cut down my schedule or something. But so far, it's been manageable. It's been manageable for like 2 years now, which is crazy to me. That's just crazy. It does not feel like it's been so long. But yeah, the positives has been like everything else. It's been so fun. I've met so many amazing people. I've done so many awesome scripts. It's really, really amazing to be able to be that creative and to have the support of so many perverts behind you. Is just like, it's so rewarding and nice. And I've actually gotten messages from people, not about my porn audios, but like my safer work stuff that are just really, really touching about, that my audios have made a difference to them, or that they've really mattered at a point when they were really low, and stuff like that is just incredibly touching, and it makes it really worthwhile on like a deeper level, which is like when I started, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to do these role plays because these will really matter to someone. Like, I feel like that's narcissistic to think, I'm doing it because it's fun. That's why I'm doing it. I didn't start for some benevolent purpose. I started because it's freaking fun. And I love telling stories and getting a reaction from people and entertaining people, making them have fun, making them happy. It's so fun. I enjoy the hell out of it.
I'm definitely one of those people. You've probably helped me so many sleepless nights of just like, oh my god, life sucks, life is depressing. Oh, wait a minute, I can listen to a Dangerous audio.
I'm really glad. That's awesome. It makes me really happy. See, I love stuff like that.
I can pretend that I'm cuddling with a cat girl. Stuff like that. Kind of goes back to the whole thing of you saying like we're all basically perverted weirdos. It's really hard to like it's really hard to like explain to someone like what, so wait, what kind of videos do you watch? Oh, I listen to audio role plays. So what are they about? They're about werewolves. Oh, so like you're fighting werewolves? No, I'm laying with the werewolf as she like gives me a hard time.
Yeah.
Or the snake woman captured me, and I'm just stuck.
I mean, it's fun. I think they're fun as hell, and I think they're exciting. And if it makes me weird, I don't give a fuck, because I'm enjoying the hell out of myself. And people that don't like it, go fucking fine. I don't give a shit. I don't care about whatever they find interesting, Sudoku or what the fuck ever. I don't go fuck off. Go jack off in the corner with your Sudoku, fuck. So I'll leave your boring shit. No, I like Sudoku too, but that's the thing. I'm not going to shit on someone. I mean, I like it when I'm like in a plane and there's nothing else to do and all the crosswords have already been filled up, but that's another thing.
Sudoku. It just pisses me off. I'm like, God dang it, I've been staring at these same numbers for 8 hours. I quit.
Well, honestly, I don't give a shit what other people do with their free time, unless they're like their actual free time is like raping kids and murdering people. Like, if you're not hurting anyone else, I don't give a fuck what you do. Don't judge other people's shit, especially if you don't like it or you don't understand it. Fuck you. Your opinion doesn't mean shit. Go kick rocks. I don't care. That's the problem. Like, I feel like especially when I was brought up, it's like you should care what people think. And I agree to a point. I mean, you should be aware how you treat people and how it affects them. And you should always strive to be a good person. But when it comes to the things you enjoy when they're not hurting anyone, and the job you do and how you live your life and what makes you happy, everyone else can go fuck off. Because at the end of the day, it's just you and you, right? Like, we die alone in the sense that we're just the only person in our body. We're with us. We have to find peace with us. And I don't want to fucking die thinking like I didn't do the stuff that I love because I was afraid of how I would look to other people. Do I like not looking good to people? Of course not. We all want to look good. But I would rather live a life that makes me really fucking happy than look better to some people. Because at least I know at the end of the day, I don't care how I look. If I'm fucking happy and satisfied, that's all that really matters to me. Because I'm so busy anyway. I'm just looking inwardly at my work. I'm not looking out at the people that would judge me. I'm so happy, you just gotta laugh, Like, when you're really happy, that's when I find out you don't really give a fuck what some people think. If you're actually happy, it doesn't matter. Might piss you off, but like, at the end of the day, you're doing what makes you happy, and you just want to keep going.
Like how this turned into like such a motivational speech.
Sorry, I know. I like
no,
it's need to do that shit.
I was actually about to say that's a really good message to kind of like head towards the end on. I do have one final question, unless Boggle, you have another question?
No, not at the moment.
Motivational questions only, please. I'm on a roll.
I mean, this kind of is a motivational question too.
Sure.
What would you say to any like
I'll be the judge
newer? What would you say to like any like newer like audio role player or ASM artist that like wants to come to you for advice? Like, what would be the thing you tell them?
Give up now. You can't compete.
I mean, that's already obvious, but other than that,
I'm joking. Oh God,
But
of course
here's the
I'm
key to
joking. Of
success.
course.
One, accept that you're never going to be as good as me. Two, have fun with it.
God, no. Okay, that's the thing. I would love someone to come on the scene that's like way fucking better than me. Now, granted, I'd hate them, but I'd also fucking love it because competition's great, right? It makes you work harder. Anybody who is just entering onto the roleplay scene, like fucking the more the merrier, I would say have fun with it. Be consistent. Like, don't make one audio and then never make an audio for 3 months and like wonder why people aren't subscribing. Like, you have to keep making audios. Even when you don't want to sometimes, because I've had times where I'm like, I don't really feel like working today. And just like a regular job, you can't be like, yeah, fuck it. Unless it's just a hobby. If it's something you want to do full time, you kind of have to like stay consistent, ideally. And even if it's a hobby, at least, you know, if you upload once a month, try to make it like maybe the same time every month, you know? Just have some kind of schedule where people know when to come back to look for something. If they give a shit at all. A lot of people won't, you know. They won't care.
Our podcast can attest to that.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
literally have a video with you in it, and it's just like everybody's like, whatever, Steven. Oh, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, we're joking that there's two possible outcomes for this episode right now. It's either going to get a lot of views because you're in it, and then that's going to be it. This will be the most views that Steven's channel ever gets, or people still aren't going to give a shit, and this will get like 10 views.
you know, you just never know. I feel that same way with audios because I can make one. I'm like, this is really good, and it'll get almost no views. I like stop paying attention to views because I don't want it to change how I like put stuff out on my channel. But like sometimes I'll be surprised because I'll make an audio and I won't do a lot of like special effects work or anything, and it'll get a lot more traction just because of the subject material.
That stuff pisses me off though, because I'm like, come on, guys, why is this the work that you want to remember me by? I was so proud of these, and they're like, we don't really care about this. It's like, dang it, why is this what you guys want more of? Because this isn't one I want to write.
Oh, most of the audience doesn't really care about, I don't think most of them care that much about like the artistry. I think a lot of them just care about the story and like, give me sexy fill in the blank lady here. Like, I really feel like that's what a lot of the audience wants. I don't think they like to think
let's be real,
too
your
deeper.
channel's very fan servicey. You can't really blame them for that.
Oh, for sure it is. Because like, well, and I love that shit too. Like I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. And sometimes I like to make people very, very sad. And that's what you go to Patreon for. And also very, very, very happy. But no, it's just a blast. But yeah, I would say to anybody that's starting out, just do the stuff that you really enjoy, not just what you think people want you to do. Because if you're just trying to do fan service all the time, you're eventually going to want to stop doing it. You have to find the stuff that really you're passionate about creating. And then, you know, like that's my biggest thing. Like, do what you love. Don't try to copy anyone else's style or anything. That's why I tend to really not listen to a lot of role plays anymore, because I really, really don't want to accidentally be influenced by anybody else, you know?
Are you only listening to your own audios anymore?
Like, honestly, yeah, because I don't want to get accidentally because, you know, there's always that fear. Like,
True.
What if you remember something that you listened to one time in the back of your fucking mind, and then you're like, oh, this would be a great idea, and you and your great stupidity from having smoked way too many joints, not speaking from personal experience, but if you were like that, there's the possibility that what if you made an audio and you like never realized that you totally cribbed off somebody else's idea? That's horrifying to me.
But the way I see it too is like, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, on the one hand, a lot of ideas have already been done, and two, even if you do
Oh my God, yeah.
It's like, it's still not, because I've had that same experience. I'll be like, hey, I feel like I created something new, and then I'll happen to stumble upon basically almost a carbon copy the next day, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not as original as I thought. And that's not even like a case of, oh, well, that's because you were dabbling in this genre and you were subliminally influenced. It's like, no, sometimes You don't realize how much stuff is already out there until you think you put something new out there, and then someone's like, "Oh, that reminds me of X," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't
Think
even know
about how
this
many
until right
people
now."
are on the planet, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many
Well, yeah, so
people
it
are
makes sense. No
creating?
more new ideas. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think you should worry too much about accidentally copying some. Because also, to be fair, this
Yeah,
is
that's
the channel
true.
with like 4 Lamias on it.
Oh my
So
god.
you're
Well,
copying yourself at this point.
yeah, they're all different characters.
Well, but I mean, the fact that you can have 4 of the same type of character, no one's going, "Oh, again?" Instead, everyone's like, "Oh, cool, another one." So it's like, you probably have more leeway to accidentally copy off someone than you might think.
I guess I would hold myself more accountable, I think, than anything else. Like, I would be really upset by it. I think that's what would bother me. I think the audience is generally really sweet and understanding, as Sims tend to be. Anyway.
If it's accidental, though, it wasn't like a direct case of, "Oh, I saw this person
people
do
would
a
understand.
Yandere vampire, so now I'm gonna do a Yandere."
Well, right. I would never do it intentionally, but like even doing it accidentally, I would feel like shit, and then I would second guess myself like all the time going forward. Like, wait, am I sure I didn't listen to this somewhere else? Like, I'd be paranoid. I'd be scared. I wouldn't want to think like I'm thinking I'm being so fucking original, and then it's like, nope, everything you did was like word for word a copy of someone else's some fucking how, and you're like, what? No, no. It's like secretly a plagiarist, a new role play. That one hasn't been done because it's terrible. That's why most of the good stuff's been done. The only stuff that's left is just really shitty.
Because most of the good stuff's already been done, so you don't really have a choice. Oh, but I feel that though, accidentally copying is like, wait, what if this essay that I'm writing is somehow plagiarism? What if I get in trouble for this?
Because you're like,
word for word.
Right, it's like intent is everything, but then once like you're caught, it doesn't matter because the mob's already decided the intent was there. Well, yeah, because like let's say you didn't know it was wrong, right? So you get called out and they're like, "Hey, what this thing you did was wrong." And you're like, "Oh my god, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." They're gonna be like, "Yeah, you're only saying that because you got caught." And you're like, "But no, I didn't know it was wrong until now." Like, "Yeah, that's what you'd say." And you're like, "God damn it." They've already decided you're guilty and you knew the whole time. You know, you're fucked at that point.
But do you ever miss being able to listen to ASMR? Because I feel like
yes.
That kind of
Yes, I do miss it.
Oh.
I do, yeah.
I guess that can kind of go back to another thing of just like a negative. It's like can't really listen to other people anymore because
yeah.
They're not good enough.
That is kind of a negative. But
no,
honestly,
after I listen to my own shit, everyone else is so sub-quality that I can't stand to listen to them anymore.
No, it's not that at all.
I'm kidding. Don't take anything I say seriously.
But yeah, I really am glad I made my channel. I love it. I've met some amazing people. I wouldn't do it differently any other way. I love it. I love it. It's so much fun.
And we love you, Dangerous. And just honestly, thank you for everything. Like you've done a lot for me, not just for making the audios, but especially these past couple weeks. And just the fact that you came on and did this, that really means a lot to me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Steven and I were like absolutely, completely doubtful that you'd actually say yes, and then that you'd actually go through with it. So I'm honestly surprised you're here too. I'm like, was she really though?
Hey, I promised I would. So I'm not going to break a promise. You messed up, especially with your birthday tomorrow. What the fuck? I'm not going to do that to you. I'm just going to be like, hey, here's your birthday present. Big fucking fuck you. 2 thumbs up. That's what you get.
That feels like something you would do, though. You'd actually jokingly get someone a birthday card that looks nice, they open it, and all it says is fuck you on the inside.
Yeah. I mean, no, I wouldn't do that to you. I would not do that, though. I really wouldn't. I swear, I'm not.
Do it with someone you were really close to.
I'm not an asshole in real life. I only play one in role plays. I swear. Officer.
Well, that's what they all say.
I swear, it's just an act. Believe me.
You do shit way out of a ticket. I mean, that'd be something you'd have to do, obviously, yeah, with the close friend who, like, knew you were kidding. Because, dude, that'd be something I would do. I'd be like, happy birthday. Fuck you. And they'd be like, gee, thanks. And I'd be like, you're welcome.
Yeah, you don't do it to, like, your distant cousin. They'd be like, what the fuck? Like, we haven't talked in 6 years.
Be like, who even is this? Because I'm not, none of them, we don't know each other, so.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fucking weird.
random troll. Like, imagine, getting a bunch of birthday cards and then there's this one that's from, like, it's unsigned and everything. You're like, who's this from? It's just a random fuck you. And I'd be like, the heck? Who sent this?
You just really wanted to ruin Thanksgiving. Like, make it super awkward.
I would honestly laugh. I'd be slightly concerned. I was like, okay, so this is completely unmarked. I don't know how they found my address. But then my second reaction would be to laugh. I don't know why, but stuff like that makes me laugh.
I swear, whenever I'm busy, I'm always the most popular. It's fantastic.
How she is too.
A bunch of people DMing you right now or something? Or...
Everyone could just tell. They were like, oh, she's busy. Quick. You always want what you can't have. Their alarm just goes off.
That's what it freaking felt like, honestly. I was like, is this a conspiracy? You guys, like, all have, like, a group chat, like, behind my back that's just titled, like, Let's Annoy Boggle, and you all, like, trade ideas, and you're like, well, we know that she's going to be free during this hour, so nobody text her. But she's going to have class this hour and work this hour, so that's when we got to ask her all the shit.
You have an open invitation whenever you want to come on, or if you ever want to come on again for some reason. We're always open to it.
Fuck, I'm never doing this again.
No, I had a lot of fun.
I don't know if you know this, but you're a lot of fun to talk to, and you're very likable. So we would definitely love to talk to you again.
I feel the same way about you guys. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you, dear.
And I always enjoy a chance to just blab about myself. It's my favorite thing.
It's the topic I'm best at. Yeah, same. I feel that.
If I'm not pretending to be somebody else, I can just talk about myself all day. Blah, blah, blah.
That'd be hysterical. Someone trying to do an interview in character is one of your characters. They hysterical.
And where could the people listening find you?
Just look up Dangerous ASMR on YouTube. That's me.
The odds
Dangerous
are good.
ASMR.
They're actually going to listen to this podcast. They already know who she is and where she's
you
at.
probably know who I am. If you just stumbled on this, hi, welcome to the weird side of YouTube.
One of the many weird sides of YouTube.
Yeah, one of. Yeah, there you go. Dangerous ASMR. Come on. You have fingers, I assume, or at least like voice to text fucking program. Dangerous ASMR. You know what this is. This is why you clicked. Just type it in, or voice search it, or have someone else do it. I don't know. Or don't. I don't give a fuck.
Have your mom do it.
No, your mom's too busy